All right, all guests on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program, Johnny Cuba, a lifestyle brand. You know what I'm talking about. European roots with that Caribbean soul, a refreshing German lager in a can. You can pick up a six-pack of Johnny Cuba, your local Sedanos, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, and of course, this Sunday, tailgate, Johnny Cuba, ZASLOW Show 2.0 tailgate, Dolphins, Panthers at the stadium. We're going to be on the east side, orange lot. We'll give you the exact location when we get out there at 9 a.m. And of course, we're going to have food and drinks brought to us by Are You Hungry Grill, Johnny Cuba, ZASLOW Show 2.0. Big tailgate going on. That's going to be a lot of fun. Hollywood Joy Taylor joining us here out in Los Angeles. Speak on FS1. That's the show. Killing it. Biggest star on FS1. Some people may want to say Colin Cowherd. I say Joy Taylor, biggest star out there on FS1. You left almost 8 years ago.
I know, it's crazy.
Does it feel like 8 years ago?
No, it doesn't. It's like, it's still weird to me sometimes that I live in LA. Like, I think it's also because I'm back in Miami so much because of my family being there that I feel like I'm in Miami every other month. So I still have kept like such a foothold in Miami that it just doesn't seem like as, because it's very far. Like, it's a 5-hour flight
Yeah.
to Miami. It's 6 hours back. Like, it's not a short trip, but yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It's been almost 8 years. It's nuts.
How are you handling Dolphin games this year? How do you experience Dolphin games? What's the setup on what for you is usually a Sunday morning if you're out there in LA?
Yeah. I mean, I'm watching all the games. And the Dolphins game obviously is on a separate feed. I'm like, I'm experiencing the Dolphins in such a unique way this year because if you've been a Dolphins fan, and I'm assuming that you are if you're listening to the show, then you know about the years of trauma and heartbreak that we've experienced. And every time we get excited, it's like this massive letdown, which I think history repeated itself last year with Tua getting injured. So I always watch the Dolphins with a little bit of apprehension, but this year they've just been so like real. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy that you like know something bad is gonna happen, and then you're like allowing yourself to dream. They're so fun. And it's really fun also to see the national reaction to the Dolphins, who, overall is an organization that most people don't take very seriously. But yeah, I mean, I think after that Broncos win, it was like, oh, they're really capable of doing some pretty incredible things in the league if everyone, keeps tracking the way that they are.
They're so much fun. Were you see like they're so good that with the Devon Achane injury, like I'm not even phased by it. Like it sucks. All right, whatever. But all right, so Raheem Mostert's going to run into more of those really open holes. Like I wasn't. I'm bummed out because Achane has been really fun to watch, and he's averaging 12 yards a carry, which of course is not going to keep up. But all right, they have so many guys on that offense that it really doesn't faze me that he's going to miss some time.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I'm with you. I think Mostert can pick it up, but when you have a guy that's hot like that, that's more of what gives me anxiety. Is like, damn, you don't want to lose that sort of momentum. But I think McDaniels has earned enough equity with all of us that we can have faith that he's going to redirect whatever is missing from Achane. And I don't think that his massive amount of resume really plays a part in it. Like if you're doing something week in and week out at a high level and you lose that, like there is going to be some adjustment period to that. But I'm with you. I think they'll be fine. They do have depth at that position. It's just unfortunate.
Tell me a little bit about Mike McDaniel here. I don't know if you saw the clip the other day with him running off the field at the end of last game, and he runs into the tunnel with the fins up on top of his head. I mean, man, he is funny. And it's such a funny thing because last year, like, look, he got a little bit of criticism toward the end of the year. Okay, that's fine. But it's such a weird thing where we have this, like as if a rookie coach needs to be a finished product. Like, why
Right.
can't a rookie coach get better and better his first few years the same way you wouldn't expect a rookie quarterback to be great his first year? And didn't we see enough out of Mike McDaniel, a rookie coach, to realize, all right, you know what? This guy's probably going to end up being really awesome, you know?
Yeah, I think we don't give coaches the same kind of grace that we give players simply because you can replace a coach and you can't just swap out players in the same way. Particularly when players are paid at a high level, or you mortgage your future to get a certain player. Like, we just know there's a different dynamic between players and coaches in most circumstances. So if something's not going well, it's almost default to blame the coach, because if you can actually make a change there if it becomes obvious that it is the coach and not the players. But yeah, I think he earned enough in his first year to show that he was moving the team in the right direction. Certainly his relationship with Tua, which I was thinking about the other day, like what a turnaround, and what also a tragedy almost that Tua didn't have the right coach for him when he came into the league. And it does make me wonder about a lot of these young quarterbacks that we see struggling. Is it them? Because we know that they're talented. We've seen what they've done in college at a high level, and to come into the league. And sometimes the league is just too fast and too big, and they're just not ready for it, and they're not professional quarterbacks, they're just college quarterbacks. But I think where you go really matters, and who you have around you really matters. And it's not just talent. I mean, like you mentioned, like, why can't a rookie quarterback get better? I think in a lot of cases it's because of what they have around them. And for Tua, it was very obvious that he needed a guy like McDaniel to come in and believe in him, and also be an offensive leaning coach that sees what Tua does and what would make Tua be successful, and build the team around him, personnel and scheme wise, to elevate that. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a better coach for this Dolphins team. And he's shown not only that he's a great coach, but he's established a culture, which for the Dolphins, to me, was always what was missing. I mean, just going through coach after coach after coach after quarterback after quarterback after over all these years, there was never any consistency. And part of it was because maybe some of these guys weren't right for the job, but also there's a million other reasons. And we don't have enough time to break them down. We did for years on our show. But McDaniel has really created an environment and an identity for the Dolphins that I think everyone sees nationally, and is echoed in how they play, how they show up, how they've been performing, and just the entire energy around the team.
I hope I'm looking. Look, this weekend they're going to smash the Panthers this weekend, but like, I want them to properly smash the Panthers, and what I mean by that is, they should have won the game last weekend against the Giants like 31-6. Instead, it was 31-16. Tua had a bad game, which is great, by the way. A bad game for Tua is 300 yards, 22 for 30, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The team can win by 2 touchdowns, be a -3 in turnover margin, and still win by 2 touchdowns. Like that was Tua had a bad game, which was a great sign for the Dolphins that they still did what they did. But that game ended, or as the fourth quarter was dragging on against the Giants, it's like, the scene in Rounders, and John Malkovich is winning, is like, I feel so unsatisfied. Like, that's how I felt at the end of the game against the Giants. I need them to properly smash the Panthers this weekend, which I think they will.
I don't know. I feel like we've got that one under our belt with the Broncos win. Like, just win games. It's why I still argue for the Eagles being the best team, because they're not winning pretty, but they don't need to. Like, they just do whatever they need to do to win the game. And I understand that style points make everybody feel better, but this isn't college, and there's no rankings, and you are what your record says you are. So I hear you, and it's obviously more fun when you take advantage of a lesser opponent. But this is the NFL. Like, Arizona managed to beat Dallas. There's fluke games every single weekend. What I would like to see is just a clean game. I don't want any turnovers. Like, it doesn't have to be this explosive offensive performance. You don't have to put up 70 points, but just don't turn the ball over. That is not something that I want them building on.
They have the Eagles. They're in Philadelphia next week, Sunday Night Football. You think the Eagles are the best team? You just said, like, really, over the 49ers?
Yeah, I have the Eagles over the 49ers just because I have a bit of the mentality that you've got to beat the champ, and they're both undefeated. Like, I think the Niners have looked more dominant so far this year, but I think Jalen Hurts is still a better quarterback than Brock Purdy, who has played amazing and is clearly the franchise guy there, and what an incredible story. But I still think Jalen Hurts was an All-Pro last year and is a better quarterback overall than Brock Purdy, which is the most important position. And they're both undefeated. So I'm going to give the slight nod to the Eagles in that space. I think it's splitting hairs. Like, I'm not going to be outraged that you think the Niners are better. But I love that the Dolphins have the Eagles coming up, because that's going to be a great test for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
Just like the Cowboys had with the Niners this week. I mean, everyone was so excited going into that matchup, and the Cowboys looked terrible. Absolutely terrible. A team that I still think is very good, like extremely talented top to bottom, Super Bowl winning coach, a quarterback that has won playoff games, and the Niners just did what they wanted with them. So I really looking forward to seeing what the Dolphins look like against the Eagles, because I think these regular season games, while obviously they don't end your season, they're not must-win games, I think they are a good gauge of what you look like against the best competition. And after that Dolphins-Bills game, which was just really disappointing, because that was the game before the Cowboys-Niners game that everyone was looking forward to, like the battle of the AFC, these two top teams. And the Dolphins really had an opportunity to show that they have arrived in the AFC East, and, what happened. Again, it's not the end of the season, but those marquee games are, to me, a good gauge of where you are when you haven't fully arrived, which the Dolphins haven't yet.
What do you make of the Bills? The Dolphins were handed a gift last weekend where Buffalo loses a game. Jacksonville was up the entire game. And
yeah, I knew they were going to lose that game, though.
Why?
Well, one Jacksonville stayed in London, so they were there all week, and I think that is a massive advantage, particularly when you're in another country. Like, it's not like they had back-to-back home games. Like, I don't know how much home field advantage matters that much in the NFL anymore in these like early regular season games. But when you got to travel to London, there's all, when you do the international game, there's all this stuff going on. It's very distracting. Your routine is completely messed up. They did have a battle the week before. They had some injuries. Like, I'm not surprised that Jacksonville won that game at all. And I think the Bills are a better team than Jacksonville. But yeah, I'm not surprised they lost.
But you look at the Dolphins right now. Dolphins one loss, and their one loss, they were blown out by Buffalo. But okay, there's no shame in losing to Buffalo. While the Bills
in Buffalo,
and the Bills, and that game was much more important for Buffalo than it was Miami. Dolphins would have been 2 games up on them at that point with the tiebreak and the final game in Miami. Game was much more important to Buffalo. But now Buffalo finds himself a game back of the Dolphins once again. And that final game of the season is always going to be in the Dolphins' back pocket, where if the Dolphins can just go into that final game, right now they have a 1-game lead. If they could just go into that final week even with Buffalo, where you have the final game at home and a chance to win the division, like, that was a monster loss for Buffalo last week for the division. Because let's be honest, if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, you have to win your division. Like, you have to get the home game in the first round, and then maybe also the home game in the second round, depending. You have to win your division if you're going to get to the Super Bowl. You really do.
I mean, I don't know that you have to, but you'd like to play more games.
Winning
at home
3 road games. I mean, it's hard.
It's very hard. Yes, it's not ideal. It's not how you want to try and get to the Super Bowl. I hear you. I mean, Buffalo is interesting to me. I felt like a lot of people were bailing on the Buffalo bandwagon going into this season, mostly because it was, and I said this, I think it was media fatigue. Everyone gets really tired of picking the same team to win or get to the Super Bowl every single year, and they don't deliver. Like, it's just fatigue. I don't think that the Bills are significantly worse than they were last year. We just started picking them apart because people were tired of picking them and them disappointing. Josh Allen is still an incredible talent. They have the same head coach. They have a solid defense. They've had a top defense for a long time. So they're still the team to beat in the division. They've won the division the last 3 years. It's not an accident. Like, this is a very, very good team, and they're right on the cusp of greatness. They just haven't gotten there yet. I think that this is a great opportunity for the Dolphins to take over the division. And just by takeover, I mean they can win the division this year. Obviously, the Dolphins are talented enough and are playing well enough, and as you mentioned, it's already lined up for them to have it in their control to win the division at the end of the year. I think it's going to be a battle between these two teams for perpetuity. Like, with Josh Allen and Tua, it's going to be back and forth. Obviously, Josh Allen is ahead in the matchup significantly right now for a variety of different reasons.
10-2 against the Dolphins in his career.
Yeah. I mean, he has a lead. He has a lead. I mean, this is what it is. There's no way around it. And they're a great team, and he's a great talent. So I don't think there's like you said, like, I don't think there's any shame in that. It's frustrating, obviously, but like, okay, you lost to a really good team at home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you're not going to go undefeated. Very rarely does any team go undefeated. It was a bad loss for sure, and most people right now would say that the Bills are a better team than the Dolphins because head-to-head, that's how it went. But we'll see at the end of the year. I mean, we do these shows week to week, day to day, and we have to give our opinions and thoughts, and sometimes they're very reactionary. I tend to lean towards this is what I think right now, but let's see what it looks like when the dust settles.
Thursday night football tonight, Denver and Kansas City. Kansas City's 4-1. They've won 4 in a row. This doesn't feel like that same unbeatable Chiefs team of years past. Like, the Dolphins are playing the Chiefs in Germany in a few weeks, and I really strongly feel, why can't the Dolphins win that game? Like, this Chiefs team, I don't know. I don't feel like they're this unstoppable force this year.
No, I don't think they are either. And they've had some injury issues. And obviously Travis Kelce being banged up at the beginning of the season was a bit of a disaster for them just because of the sheer volume, like the influence that he has on the offense. And you saw it in game 1 with the Chiefs. Like, they missed him. They needed that production. He's the best tight end in the league. So obviously you don't want to lose him. The only hesitation I have with declaring them not the same team as Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like you mentioned, they don't look like a 4-1 team, but they are. And like, you can't argue with the results. So I'm with you. I think that's a game that this current Dolphins team is capable of winning for sure. I don't think that they're unbeatable, but I mean, he's just the best quarterback in the league, and Andy Reid is just running shit. And we saw last year, we thought it was over without Tyreek Hill, and they went and did it. So what makes Patrick Mahomes great is his ability to make everything around him work, no matter who is out there. So I can't get on board with writing the Chiefs off yet. I definitely think they're vulnerable, but until proven otherwise, I mean, like, if I gave you a choice right now, Chiefs or the field for the Super Bowl, are you taking the field?
Yes. Of course I am. It's the field.
Mm-hmm. But if there was one team you were going to pick, it would be the Chiefs?
Right now?
Yeah.
No.
Like, if there was, like, you would pick one other team over the field?
Oh, like if you said Team X that wasn't the Chiefs or the field?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to take the field no matter what.
Okay.
But like, I think the 49ers right now have a better chance of winning the Super Bowl than Kansas City, if I were asked that. But would I take the Niners or the field? I'd take the field.
You take the field.
Yeah, I take the field.
All I'm saying is that's the only team that you would even entertain putting into that slot.
Yeah. Like, I think the Niners right now are so far better than everybody else. Like, I don't even know when they're going to lose the regular season game. Like, I guess they'll slip up somewhere, but I don't see them losing to anyone right now. They're so good. They're great.
And Brock Purdy is, I think we're not really giving it the proper hype it deserves.
So funny. Like, Garoppolo got hurt in the game last year with the Dolphins after they lost. The Dolphins said that game ended their losing streak, the winning streak. Dolphins were 7-3 going into that game. And Garoppolo gets hurt at the beginning of the game. We're all so excited because who the hell is the backup quarterback? And he has not lost a regular season game yet. He's
He's the
awesome.
last
He's awesome.
pick in the draft. He's Mr. Irrelevant.
It's got a very Tom Brady feel to it. It does. He's awesome. It has a very Brady feel to it.
It's crazy. Like he's really, really
he's really good.
Incredible. Like and it's not like I reserved the right after the injury, the way that it ended for him last year and coming into the season. So like I was like, I just want to see what he looks like. Like, he had a major injury. He had surgery. He didn't have an off season to develop that we thought he was going to have after looking so great in that, end of the season and playoff run. And he's just consistent. Like I'm no longer like waiting for him to walk off a cliff and prove that this is a fluke. Like this is who he is. He just, everyone in the league, including the Niners, just missed it. And they just literally, you take that position for depth. Like it's not, you can't argue. It's the same thing with Tom Brady. Like when people were talking about, like the Patriots took Tom Brady. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. No, they did not. You do not take a 6th round pick for anything but depth and potential. You did not do this to, sorry about that. You did not do this because you knew that he was going to be your franchise quarterback. Right. Otherwise you wouldn't have waited until the last pick in the draft. So I think it's an incredible, incredible story.
How does
and it has completely saved that Trey Lance debacle.
Like the 49ers should be punished for striking out on Trey Lance the way that they did, and instead they're rewarded. It's such bullshit.
I mean, it is football God speaking, because what they used to move up and get Trey Lance, and then considering the circumstances in which Trey Lance even existed as a player, having like 17 starts in college and like not played football for
that's why they should be punished.
It's such an arrogant swing. Like it's almost like an affront to the sport that they swung that far with that many picks. Like you're right, but I think it's just an incredible story.
How does the Belichick situation work itself out? Does he have the right to go away when he wants to go away? Will he catch Shula? He's 29 wins away.
I do not think he will catch Shula. I think it will be done after this year. I got to tell you, it's kind of a bummer to me. I know everybody's kind of rejoicing.
A bummer to me.
I know. I know everyone's kind of rejoicing. Like everyone's kind of happy about it. But for as much of a curmudgeon as he is and all the suffering that he inflicted upon the league for all those years with Brady there and everything that's happened with that entire dynasty and the fallout, I don't want to know this much. Like, I don't want it to end this way. I wish he had retired after last year, or I wish he had retired after Mac Jones made it to the playoffs and they lost. Like,
boy, he's
walk
awful.
away
he is awful.
On some kind of high. And now you just look terrible. You look terrible. It looks like the league has passed you by. It's impossible to argue that you would have had any of this success without Tom Brady. It's just a really bad ending to what is a really fascinating movie. That is the New England Patriots and Bill Belichick's era there. And it's just, the numbers are so bad. It's so bad. It's like, bad.
It looked like a mortal lock that he was going to pass Shula. And now it's like, there's no chance he passes Shula. There's no chance. You know what it feels like? It feels like
games.
It feels like how Tiger Woods was definitely going to pass Jack Nicklaus for majors. And then it got to a place where, yeah, he's got no chance. That's how it feels now with Belichick. He's got no chance.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't enjoy it because it's not that I want to defend Belichick, but like, I can't ignore 6 championships. I can't do it. Like, there's too many moving parts on a football roster. There's too many things that happen inside of a building of an NFL team. And Tom Brady deserves credit for almost all of it. But he still had a pretty amazing offensive line almost every year. He had an unbelievable kicker. He had a tight end that it will go into the Hall of Fame in Rob Gronkowski. He had great defenses. Like, he's talked about it. Like, there's so many moving parts and so many things that have to happen. for you to win, it wasn't like he won one. Like for you to win 6, I can't ignore that. But I also now can't ignore this dumpster fire of a situation that we know is all due to Belichick's decisions because he makes all the decisions there. You can't point the finger at like this crazy GM. You can't blame an overbearing owner. Like it's you. All of this situation is your doing.
Does he deserve to step aside when he wants to step aside?
When we talked about this at the beginning of the season and in the off season, I said yes. I do think it gets to a point where it could be no, because it's been years now. Like it's been what, 4 years since this is the fourth year?
This is 4, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been 4 years. Well, we're in the midst of the 4th year. Assuming that they win what, 4 games, 4 or 5 games, which is, I think, honestly, at this point, being generous. How do you, as an owner, walk in there and say that's an acceptable performance? I don't know. I don't know how you run it back because it's getting worse. Like I said this yesterday or the other day on the show. Could you imagine if the same coach that has 6 championships also coaches a team that doesn't win any games?
Yeah.
Like it's getting worse. Like the trend is down. Like the graph is pointing down every year. It's getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
This is like a real possibility. So
I mean, the thing that gets me about him is he allowed to step aside when he wants to step aside. He's got 6 Super Bowls. Joy, Brady didn't get to step aside when he wants to step aside.
Right.
And knowing what we know now, if Brady didn't get to step aside when he wanted to, why does Belichick?
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree now. Like I know I've said publicly that I don't, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad. Like it just looks bad. We knew they weren't going to be a good team this year. We knew they weren't going to be talented, but I figured they'd do some version of what they always do. You know, take away your best weapon, make things a little messy, make you have to kind of beat them old school. Now everyone's just like, I mean, they got tagged the last 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Unbearable losses the past 2 weeks.
Lastly here, Joy, how long did you wait after Saturday to text or call your brother Jason?
I talked to Jason Saturday nights. I did not talk to him about what happened. I still have not talked to him about what happened. That is the honest truth. I talked to him because I was at the Arizona USC game watching my nephew Isaiah play USC, who, by the way, doesn't have a drop of defense. I mean, not a defense in sight. Triple overtime against their backup quarterback in Arizona. It's just nonsense. It's nonsense. Caleb Williams is so good. If you're ever questioning how good Caleb Williams is, understand how good you have to be to keep a team where they are ranked with absolutely no defense whatsoever. They have 41 points to Colorado without Travis Hunter, and it's triple overtime with Arizona. Just saying. I did not talk to him about it. And until he brings it up, I will not. I will not bring it up.
Wow. All right.
That is my code with Jason. I have been by Jason's side through many, many crazy losses. And that is just really unfortunate. And I know everyone down there is very, very upset. And that's all I can say about it.
It sucks because when they kept showing Cristobal at the end there, your brother was standing right next to him. So he's in the forefront of the camera angle, right in direct line of Cristobal. So the camera is also on your brother, who of course just has, it's like he's staring into the abyss. He's got a blank look on his, like he was right there in every camera shot.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, what am I going to say?
Yeah. Joy, promote everything and anything you got going on. Go ahead.
Yes, watch Speak weekdays 4:30 p.m. Eastern on FS1. If you missed, you can also listen to the podcast and on our SiriusXM channel, and check out the Joy Taylor Foundation. We'll have some stuff coming up for the holidays if you want to get involved. We'll be doing a Thanksgiving Day and a holiday give back. So I know a lot of people saw us take the girls out to the Angel City Football Club game, which was really fun. So we're going to be doing some more stuff like that. If you want to subscribe to keep updated and follow us at Joy T Foundation and myself at Joy Taylor Talks.
Have you seen any good movies lately?
I really haven't been to the movies in a while, which is really unfortunate. I obviously once football season starts, like there's like 4 days off my week right there. I am looking forward to the Marvels. That's coming up. I think we already talked about Barbie. I loved Barbie.
I saw Barbie for the first time 2 weeks ago.
Oh, you finally saw it. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone's insane, right? Like everyone is absolutely nuts.
About what? The people who are mad at the film?
Yeah. I mean, get a fucking life.
Yeah, well, like there's nothing to be mad about. I mean, I thought it was fun. You know, the movie is what it is. My wife thought it was the stupidest shit. She couldn't handle it. It's not.
She didn't like it.
Nah, it's too silly for her.
Yeah, it's very satire. Like it is the whole entire movie is satire. Yeah. And so if you don't like satire, or if in the case of everybody that hated it don't understand satire, I can see why you didn't like it. It's a top 10 movie for me. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it's the movie's funny. I mean, I enjoyed it because it's ridiculous, you know.
If you don't like take it for what it is, I could see you not enjoying it. I absolutely loved it.
I will tell you the scene where all of the Kens are singing Matchbox 20 to all the Barbies for like hours. That shit was funny. That's funny.
Oh man, there's so many like great just eggs of like references to bros in there that are just amazing. Like when he puts the glasses over the glasses that he already has on. It's so good. I really enjoyed it.
Great job, Joy. Appreciate you. Have a good show today. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Az.